Hi, everyone. Welcome to the virtual version of Transfer Student Voices. My name is McCall Olson, and I'm an academic counselor in the Undergraduate Advising Center. And I'm also the program coordinator for a program on campus called SF State California Promise. I'll be facilitating the transfer student panel today. How this is going to work is in a few moments, I'm going to introduce an awesome group of current SF State transfer students. And I'm going to ask them a few questions that incoming transfer students and prospective transfer students have submitted to us. So hopefully their answers give you a better idea about the transfer student experience at SF State and gets you excited to come to our campus and to be a Gator. All right, so let's get started. So I want you all to meet our amazing panel of transfer students. So real quick, I'll have you all go around and introduce yourselves. Please say your name, your major, and tell everyone what your favorite spot is at SF State.
What's up, everybody? My name is Stephen Lamelli. I'm a kinesiology and biology major. I transferred from Irvine Valley College in Southern California. And my two favorite spots to hang out on campus are the Mashouf Wellness Center and Hensel Hall.
So hi, everybody. I'm Julietta. I'm majoring in psychology with a minor in counseling. And my favorite spot on campus, I would say, would have to be just like the open grass area. I love when like everybody's just kind of like out there hanging out and like studying and stuff. That's probably going to be like my favorite spot on campus.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rihanna, and my major is psychology. And I would have to agree with Julieta. My favorite part on campus is actually the grass in front of Cesar Chavez when it's really nice out, because San Francisco State doesn't have great weather all the time. But when you do have good weather and you can sit outside and kind of just relax underneath a tree, it's super nice.
Hey everyone, I'm Caitlin. I am in child and adolescent development with a concentration in early childhood as well as a minor in special education. My favorite spot on campus is pretty much anywhere outside. I do like sitting on the quad or that grassy area between the library and Cesar Chavez, but when it is kind of damp, which it is a lot of the time, I really like just hanging out on the benches. There's a couple really nice ones by the business building, kind of on either side, and that's where I tend to sit because most of my classes take up place up there somewhere.
Hi everybody. My name is Twan, and I'm currently doing business marketing at SF State, and yeah, my favorite spot on campus would be oh my God, there's too many. Probably Cesar Chavez. Like that's my favorite spot.
All right, the first question that we had submitted to us was, what made you decide to transfer to SF State? So we'll just go around and I'll have all of you share your answers.
So I transferred to SF State because I'm originally from Southern California. So moving up to Southern California was getting me out of my comfort zone. That was one of the reasons why I moved up. Another one was all the opportunities that are available at San Francisco. So if you're a student at San Francisco State, you have a lot more opportunities available in the Bay Area. And also UCSF is right down the street. So if you were looking to get into that school or do anything there, it's a really good avenue to be in if you're at SFSU. And obviously the city. San Francisco is a big city. There's a lot to do here. There are a lot of parks, public transit's really cool, so you don't have to have a car to be here. There are a lot of restaurants, bars if you can go there, but if not, there's always a lot to do. There's all kinds of arcades, things to do outside, the pier, Golden Gate, the Golden Gate Bridge. There's a lot of sports you can play outside. There's just always something to do here. It's a big city. So yeah, just getting out of my comfort zone, more opportunities, and being a big city.
So I actually moved to San Francisco from the Central Valley. So I pretty much grew up in Fresno. So I kind of wanted a change of scenery as far as like moving out of my hometown, I guess. So I chose San Francisco State because the weather is great in San Francisco for the most part. It's really hot in the Central Valley most of the time. So I kind of just wanted to go somewhere where it's going to be, kind of cool. And then I actually had a couple friends that went to San Francisco State and they loved it. So I was like, all right, great, I'm going to apply. and I got in. So that's basically why.
Nice. Yeah, I actually chose to go to San Francisco State for a little bit of a different reason. I'm from Oakland, California, and so I wanted to stay close to home. And so commuting to campus was really convenient for me, which is why I just decided, since the program at San Francisco State for psychology is really good and they do have a lot of opportunities, I would just decide to go to SF State.
Nice. I transferred to SF State kind of for a few different reasons. I didn't start college right away. I traveled quite a bit when I graduated high school, so I've already kind of done some adventuring things. And when I went to community college and I started taking different classes to figure out, kind of get a feel for what major I wanted to be in, I found I really enjoyed childhood education, and I was doing my research as I came up on my sophomore year at the community college, in my last year there. And I was looking into all the schools kind of up and down California, because I didn't really want to move out of California. And I found that this one had the best program that fit kind of what I was looking for. I also know that our community college used a lot of materials and pictures from the SF State campus. We have 2 early childhood centers on campus, and I was like, that looks amazing. And then, of course, I just wanted to continue the adventure, because even though I used to come to San Francisco as a child, I thought it would be a cool place to live for a little bit and see if I enjoyed city life.
I started out from Middle State, Georgia, and I'm an international student from Vietnam, and I like challenges. And like when I was in Georgia, like it was not really my scene, so I decided to come here because I researched on online. It is affordable school and great campus with great majors. Like I went here, I researched about the business department, and they offer some great courses in marketing, and I love it. And because they did offer digital marketing, so that is what like I was trying to go for, and like now I made it like 3 years after, and I'm currently pursuing digital marketing. So yeah, the department is what made me decide to come here.
Thank you everyone for sharing. So our next question has 2 parts. The first, what was the biggest challenge making the transition to SF State, and what SF State student organizations or services do you think most supported you during your transition to SF State?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest challenges I had from community college to SF State was physically moving from Southern California to Northern California, but also it was finding people to live with, because it's a expensive city, so you may have to live with a few people. So that was pretty challenging, as well as and just being here at SF State. There are a lot of organizations that I knew of or was a part of in some capacity. So there's SACNAS, HPW, Holistic Health, and yeah.
For me, the biggest challenge from city college to transferring to state probably would just be like the whole like upper division, lower division classes. At the beginning, I was kind of confused as far as like the numbers. Like it's like 300 and up, it's upper division, and then like anything lower than that is like lower division. So I think like the first class I signed up for was like wrong because I had already taken it, but it just had a different name. So it was just kind of a little bit of confusion. And then once I was set on the right path, everything else was pretty much, I feel like it's pretty much the same experience, but better, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would have to say that the biggest challenge for me was figuring out who to talk to for what. And so talking with my major advisor about my major classes, and then talking with a college advisor for my GE upper division coursework. It was kind of just different because in community college, you talk to one counselor for one thing, whereas you have to go to different places to find out different information on campus. And so that was a struggle for me, just navigating the college system and figuring out who to talk to.
I agree. I think the hardest part is definitely figuring out who to talk to. For me, another additional concern I had was I had a little bit of trouble my first month finding community and figuring out where to go and how to immerse myself because I wanted to be involved. I definitely used, I don't live near the college, so I use on campus housing, and they have a lot of resources for students. So I definitely used all of those resources. I also went to all the different counselors, academic and personal, just to kind of get a feel for this is my first time in this situation, and I want to make sure that I'm doing everything I possibly can to get the most out of this experience. And then finding clubs that connected with my interest was very helpful.
I think the most difficult thing that I faced when I was transferring here is doing the paperwork. Like, I had to do a lot of emails, like back and forth with one of the advisor here in the business department. Yeah, in the business department, and he helped me. He like emailed me like all the steps that I need to do. I asked him like, okay, what are the steps for me to do my paperwork, because I'm international student, so like I need extra paperwork, like I-20. I need to change it. Yeah, and then I emailed him, and he very good at emailing me back, and like he showed me all the steps, step by step, like every week.
Thank you all for sharing. So the next question that was submitted was, when transferring to a new school, it can sometimes be difficult to meet new people. What would you recommend to incoming transfer students looking to find a place of community and friends on campus? Are there any student clubs and or organizations that you're involved with?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a part of a few clubs on campus. I also started my own club. So I originally went to SACNAS game night, and SACNAS is the Society for the Advancement of Chicanos, Native Americans, and Hispanics in Sciences. That was really cool. They have some really cool events. We also got to put on like a science camp for elementary school kids. I also interned in my first year, I interned at Health Promotion and Wellness, HPW. Met a lot of cool people there. I was also part of holistic health class. Again, I started my own martial arts club, and it's gotten pretty big, and anybody can do that. It's really easy. There were also a bunch of services, and as well as other departments that helped me out during getting all this stuff started. So, I mean, obviously EOP, there's CARP, DPRC, HPW, the kinesiology department, the biology department, SF Build, my funding group, as well as sororities, fraternities, and again, just starting your own club. That's something that you could definitely do and meet new people. The SFSU Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Striking Club, those who are interested in martial arts, check it out. Even if you're a beginner, we'll help you out. And if you have a lot of skills, you could definitely help out other people, but there are definitely talented coaches to help you out and progress. We got to compete and do hang out and do some philanthropy and volunteering events throughout the year. So check out SFSU BJJ and Striking Club.
Okay, so for me, I kind of like, I didn't make really that many friends in City College. So one of the goals that I just kind of personally set for myself was to at least meet one new person in each one of my classes. So that way, if like I needed help with something, or like if I was gonna miss class, I could like send them a text and I could be like, hey, what did I miss? So I think the best advice that I could give is just go for it. Most people are friendly, you know, if you tell them, hey, you know, you wanna be my buddy for this class, they will most likely say yes. I don't think anybody would say no. I mean, you might get the one-off person that, you know, is shy and says no, but for the most part, I mean, everybody's pretty friendly. I am part of EOP, so for the EOP program, I think it's great. I've gone to a couple of like their mixers and stuff, and one of the things that they focus on as well is like us getting to know each other. Just because EOP students, it's like a really big group, so everybody's like in different majors and stuff like that, so you get to build different network connections. So I think it's great. It's a great opportunity to meet new people.
Yeah, definitely building off of that. I also did not make very many friends in community college. And I feel like as a psychology major, the major definitely forces you to kind of network with your peers. And so, or make you feel obligated to network with your peers. And so, one thing that I did was I actually facilitated study groups within my core classes because each major has core classes that you're completing with other people in your major, which is nice because you're taking classes with people who are in your major trying to accomplish the same goal. And so it feels like you're kind of in it together, which makes it easier to kind of venture out and make friends and network with people. I definitely utilize different study groups in my classes. I also got into the President's Fellowship Program by Career Services and Leadership Development, which was nice because it helped me feel like I could also network with people outside of my major, so I wasn't just secluded to one particular group of students.
And then Rayona, I don't know if you want to talk about the transfer peer mentor group in this part of the question.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where I should mention that. And so I am a transfer peer mentor, which is a program on campus that helps advocate for transfer students. Since San Francisco State is unique in the sense that they don't have a transfer center for transfers to come into, sometimes transfers can kind of feel as though they may not know where to go or they may not know where to ask the right questions. So that's where we come in. We kind of help guide transfers in their transition from community college to the four-year institution and help them understand what resources are available and try and build a sense of community on campus with transfer.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah.
Cool. So for me, I definitely came out of a very small community. So I had created a lot of very lasting relationships with the people in my major there. And so coming to San Francisco, which was so much bigger, was kind of daunting. But I definitely, like they're saying, make friends with people in your class because you are going to be with them for at least 2 years usually. You're all on the same page for the most part. You're heading in the same direction. Our major is a little bit more varied because we don't usually have a lot of the same career paths because it's such a broad major. But at the same time, you learn a lot from each other and finding out what each other's interests are. If you're sitting next to someone, definitely try to get their phone number, their email. Usually, if you sit next to them for 16 weeks, you start to build some of those relationships. I personally am also involved in the CAD Club, which is our child and adolescent development. We have a club that we run. It's pretty much getting together and coloring and talking about our days working with kids and just being there for each other, building that community. I also am a part of the hall government in my residence community. And while we technically have titles, we don't really fall under our titles. We just work together to create programs for students. Anytime you see programs being offered, definitely try to go. You'll make our night definitely because we've worked really hard to make it enjoyable for you. And then it's also somewhere where you can network and meet people both inside and outside of your major. And then, yeah, just like I work in the library, so I meet a lot of people. I talk a lot. So I make a lot of friends there because when I get the same people coming back, I try to ask how life is going for them. But yeah, just being open, letting yourself be open because it can be very scary.
I used to be a member of Gospel Gators. So it's a choir on campus. And basically, when I first got here, I love to sing. I love to meet new people. I was like, okay, where are the singing clubs on campus? And I found Gospel Gators, and they become like my family. And like I found my best friend when I was in Gospel Gators. So my advice to like incoming student is join an org join join an organization or do volunteers, because that is when you get to meet new people, you get to make new connection, and they could help you during your college. And currently I'm a transfer peer mentor, so I work with incoming transfer students, so I help them with their um, academic with their transition to SF State, and I make like connections with them, and sometimes I check in with them to see how well they're doing and like what what's been bugging them. Like I basically just be a friends, and that's how I make connections. Yeah, like don't be afraid to ask people how they are. Like, yeah.
Thank you all. It was great to hear about all the cool clubs and organizations that you're a part of. So, for our next question, it's what do you like most about your major at SF State?
So I'm pursuing a degree in two different majors, kinesiology and biology. So what I really like about my majors, at least kinesiology wise, is I get to pursue science, my science interests that involve the human body. That's all kinesiology is wrapped up about, as well as in biology, study the mechanisms of a cell and other components of the immune system, as well as working in a lab. So I have the freedom to work between two different majors, kinesiology and biology.
Awesome. And Stephen, tell a little bit more about your experience working with the labs. Like, did your major department help you find one, or did they kind of prep you to get ready to work in one?
So the way I got into my lab was first applying for funding, and I am a part of a funding group. It's called SF Build. It's a NIH, National Institute of Health, biomedical research program. BUILD is an acronym for Building Infrastructure Leading to Diversity. And what they want to do, the main goal of SF Build is to promote diversity in the biomedical research workforce, because there isn't, right now, it's skewed in one way. And to tackle the gaps in health disparities, they figured out that we need more diversity in science. So this program is aimed to bring more diversity in science. Anyways, through this program, I was able to interview for lab positions, undergraduate researching positions in a lab at UCSF. UCSF is one of the best medical institutions, not just in the United States or in California, but in the world. So to be a part of their immunology department, I got to interview and was accepted there. And since then, I've been conducting research, immunological research, on a disease based on multiple sclerosis for the past year and almost 3/4.
Okay, so for me, what I like the most about my major, I would have to say just how like how many different directions you can go in with the major. So psychology is a pretty broad term, but you can go into like different specializations. Like for me, like I'm doing a psych major, but I'm minoring in counseling. So my goal is eventually to counsel students. Like so I want to work with like kids in schools and stuff. So I know that like just psychology in itself is just there's so much you can do with it, and I think that that's probably one of my favorite parts because I'm one of those people that kind of likes doing a lot of different things. And so I know if like down the road, I'm like, okay, like I you know, done kind of not like done with counseling, but I'm just like, okay, I want to try something else. I feel like psychology offers me the opportunity to do that, where I could just like jump into something else and jump into something else. So I just like how broad it is.
Yeah, jumping off of that, I definitely agree. Psychology is an awesome major in the sense that you can decide to do so much with it. And I also am someone who likes to have a just I don't like to be limited to do just one thing. I'm also interested in counseling, but I'm also interested in research. So going into psychology has allowed me to kind of explore both of those areas. I am in a research lab on campus and finishing my honors thesis this semester. So it gives me the ability to do that, where some majors might not allow me to kind of examine both worlds.
That's really cool. I like that you have the research aspect of that. It's definitely offered in our major, but different. My favorite part about my major is I love that it's so people oriented, because even though we're aimed at child and adolescent development, it's really the study of people. So being able to work with children and families, and then working with each other, we all build off each other. We all have different talents that we learn, because in my major, we have 3 concentrations. You can work in early childhood, school age, and adolescent and out of school time. And I just really enjoy the variety it offers, as well as learning about how people work, how they think, and being able to form those connections no matter what field I end up going into based on this course of study. Knowing that I'll be able to work with people is something I really enjoy.
The thing that I like about my major is, like Rihanna says, like my major is really needed in most of the industries. Like everything need marketing. Like if you're like a person, like a creative person, but you don't want to do like very business, like, oh, you don't want to do finance or accounting. Like I chose marketing because I'm a creative person. So I don't really like doing calculating. I just like to come up with slogan. I like to design. I like to make up contents. And I think my major is very like flexible, because marketing, I can do like content marketing manager or digital marketer, or like or even social media. Like I'm very love doing social media, and that's why I'm pursuing marketing, because it's give me a lot of path to go in a creative way, not like, oh, I love calculating. Like I'm not that kind of, like I'm not that person. Like I can't I can't calculate. Yeah. So yeah, like that's why I love marketing, because it's very me.
All right, so for our next question, it's what resources are available to help students be successful in their classes? I know a few of you mentioned study groups already, but feel free to expand on that and add any more additional resources that you would like students to know about.
SFSU offers a lot of resources to students to get ahead uh, or to catch up, really. I know a lot of them because I've used a lot of them. So we have a brand new library, which is really cool. We also have, through EOP or CARP, tutoring and mentoring. Through EOP, there's tutoring and mentoring. And I've been tutored through EOP, and I'm also now a mentor and a tutor for EOP. So that's really easy. As long as you're a part of EOP, you can just go into the EOP office or do it online, fill out a quick 1 or 2 minute application that just asks very basic info, and they'll pair you up with a mentor, as well as they have tutoring hours, and you can even get your own tutor that's free of charge through EOP. And CARP has after hours tutoring. So if you need tutoring after 4 p.m. and I think up to 8 p.m. or maybe even a little later, you can go through CARP. Again, simple process, and it's free as long as you're a student through SFSU. There are also study groups. I've also formed study groups to help other people study, because I've had troubles in some areas, but I excel in other areas. And so in the areas that I excel in, I found that I learn things the best if I'm able to teach them to other people. So sometimes I lead a study group, or other times I ask other people who know the subjects or who are smarter than me to lead the study groups. And as long as you have 3, 4, maybe 5 committed individuals, having a study group is very beneficial. If you have more, or you have the wrong mix of people, maybe those individuals want to be socializing, then a study group that started off trying to be productive could end up being destructive if you're trying to learn. So really think about who you're inviting or who you're going to be studying with. If you know those individuals are more about hanging out and having a good time as opposed to learning, maybe not, don't study with them until they get it together. And another huge resource on campus are office hours. That's if you have issues in a classroom, the professor offers on their syllabus office hours when they are available to students for an amount of time. Usually it's an hour or two. And if you can't see them during those office hours, you could usually schedule online office hours or after hour office hours. So the professors really try to help you out.
I would definitely say that that is one of the things that I like about San Francisco State the most is like you can literally find help in like every corner. I feel like there's so many resources. Like you can form your own study peer groups. I know sometimes professors offer study groups. I had one of my classes one semester where we just kind of all like got added to like a Google document and we were like updating like the study guides and stuff like that. So it was really helpful for like tests and quizzes because we were all just kind of helping each other answer the questions on the study guide. And when somebody was like, hey, I don't think the answer is right, we would kind of like discuss it. So I thought that was really cool. And definitely just like reaching out to, you know, various programs on campus, like going and talking to like your major department. I know a lot of like the major departments offer like peer mentoring or peer tutoring. And then definitely some of the bigger groups like EOP and TRIO and things like that. So I feel like there's a lot of resources where you will not go without help.
Yeah, definitely. All of those things I definitely agree with. I also would recommend utilizing Research Commons when that opens back up if you need a place to study, because I know sometimes it's just about not having the space or the place to study. You can also rent rooms so that if you do have a study group that wants to meet on campus, you can meet inside the room. There's also, I know we're talking about just help with school, but I know that sometimes what goes into help with education does have to do with mental health. So there is counseling and psychological services on campus that will help with kind of just talking to someone, because I know it's a hard transition for a lot of people just going from community college to San Francisco State. There's a lot that goes into that transition. And so it's important to make sure that we do have the resources to help if we find ourselves in a position where we need to reach out to a professor or we need to utilize study groups, but then also making sure that if we do come to a point where we need to talk to someone in counseling and psychological services, we have that available too.
I would definitely agree with everything you just said. And then the other thing I would add is I think Julietta mentioned it, but make sure you talk to your major departments. I know for our major, we don't necessarily have a specific study area, but you can use the CAD office for studying purposes if you need somewhere to just kind of spread out. All of our professors are very open. Most of them work in the CAD department in the office. So if you need additional support, they can help you. Creating study groups is an incredible way to help each other and learn how to work with your peers. And then something I mentioned, someone said Research Commons, which is, I'm assuming, the main library Research Commons, but a lot of majors have their own study spaces. For special education, we have the Cowhill Lab, which is in the Burke building. And that is this huge, basically, library of only resources for child and adolescent development studies. I think psychology can also use it because it's all about the study of people. Everything you would ever want to know or need to know studying for grad school, they have all of that information there. And I would definitely utilize it if you can.
Thanks everybody for sharing your experience. Yeah, I agree with everybody, but I want to add something to Rihanna, because you can rent laptop and you can rent your iPhone charger in the Research Common areas too, and that's like a very great service because one of my friends, like, she lost her computer and like she can rent the computer for the whole month. But yeah, and something I also want to ask is the book loan services by Project Connect is a very good services. You can loan your book through Project Connect. All you need to do is just go on the website and sign up for it, and then you can basically kind of get any book that you want. Like just ask them if they have your book or not. Yeah.
Can I add one more thing to this question?
Yes.
Yes.
I was just going to say that another resource that not very many people are aware of is in the library. You do have access to textbooks for temporary rentals, usually about 2 hours, but you can also check with us, especially if it's at the beginning of the semester, and we can usually order especially slightly older textbooks from other universities, and you can keep them for up to the full 16 weeks. And that way you don't have to pay.
Thank you all for sharing all those great tips. So, for our last question, it is, what is one piece of advice you have for incoming SF State transfer students, especially for students that might be nervous about transferring?
I would suggest just getting out of your comfort zone. If you're around a new place or new people, have the mindset that is open and willing to try out new things that, I mean, within reason. If they're really dangerous, then maybe don't do them, but just have an open mindset. Just say yes to new experiences. Because if you're just caught up, if you're nervous, it's maybe because out of fear, but that fear may have stemmed from some issue that you may have had. But if you try it out, like say, for example, it would be running on the Golden Gate Bridge or trying out a yoga class or being a part of a club that you maybe would have never been a part of. You find that you may like it, you may meet new friends, you could find other connections. Networking is really huge. So I would definitely say have an open mind whenever you go anywhere and try out new experiences.
The one piece of advice that I would give to them, what worked out for me was I kind of like made myself make at least one new friend. So definitely just at least make it a goal to at least make one friend. Doesn't have to even be in your department or anything like that, just one friend. I did make a friend, and she's actually in the criminal justice department, so that works out great for me because we get to talk to each other about our different majors and stuff. So I would definitely just recommend at least have one buddy that you can kind of go through, and I feel like the buddy system always works, so definitely just try to make a friend.
Yeah, definitely building off of that. I would definitely recommend for all transfer students, as hard as it may sound, to just put yourself out there. I mean, the best way to get the best results is just to go all in. And for me, it really helped because not only was I able to meet students and peers in my major and in other majors, but also building relationships with faculty members on campus. And so knowing that by putting myself out there and just going out there and just seeing what would happen really made the difference in my experience at San Francisco State.
Building off of that, 100% agree with everything they've said. And on top of that, if you need help, make sure you ask for it. We have an absolutely phenomenal counseling and psychological services on campus. You can do it either individually or in a group. If you do choose to do the group, that can also can be a place where you can make some connections with people. They do for residential, at least, if you are moving from somewhere and you just need some help, because sometimes moving to a new city, sharing a house with other people can be complicated. And they have Let's Talk, which is this really great little pop-up that goes from residential community and travels around throughout the week. And I would just recommend making sure that if you need the support, you can ask for it. If you don't know where to ask for it, pretty much anyone that works on campus can direct you. If you're not comfortable or if you haven't quite made those connections, even with people in your classes, you can go to pretty much any of the buildings. The Cesar Chavez building, they usually can help you figure out where to go, the library, things like that.
Yeah, one advice I wanna ask is always check in with your advisors because you never know that you might need something or you might need to fulfill one of your classes, one of the upper division classes. Just maybe at least check in with your advisor, with your department advisors at least twice every semester because that's what I did, and it's really helped me to get on top of my educational journey because I'm the type of person who get nervous when I don't know what my path, what my future, what the next semester is going to be. So I always check in with my advisor to like maybe like set up a list of what class I'm gonna take in the future, and please like set up a time for your registration date. Like don't miss that. Yeah.
All right, well, that is the end of our transfer student panel. I hope you enjoyed hearing from our current transfer students and that you learned a little bit more about SF State, and we hope to see you on campus in the fall. So for folks that are still with me, since I'm assuming a majority of you are transfer students, I did want to take a moment and talk to you all about the SF State California Promise Program. So the SF State California Promise Program is a program for incoming transfer students that received an associate degree for transfer, so an AAT or an AST at their community college prior to their first semester at SF State. So the goal of the California Promise Program is to build off that AAT and AST degree and to help you all graduate within a 2-year time frame. And we do so by giving you all priority registration for classes each semester and educational planning support. So if this is something you might be interested in doing, I'll just go over the eligibility requirements real quick. So you do need to be a transfer student entering your first semester at SF State, and we accept applications every fall and spring semester. So you apply for the program just a couple weeks before you're about to start at SF State. Like I said, you do need to have a verified associate degree for transfer, so an AAT or an AST degree, and you have to have that completed before your first semester at SF State. And you do need to be declared in an SF State approved ADT pathway. You also need to qualify for California residency or AB 540 and submit an application for the program. And all of the requirements that I just mentioned need to be completed by the 3rd week of school, and that's every fall and spring semester. So if you want more information about the program or are curious about it, you can just go to the website. If you Google SF State California Promise, it's one of the first pop-ups that come up in the search, and it gives you more information about the program. And then this is also where you'll be able to find the application. So feel free to check it out, but I just wanted you all to be aware of it. And if you don't end up transferring to SF State, and if you end up going to a different CSU, I would still check to see if that campus has California Promise as well, because we are not the only CSU campus that offers this program.